2024 AP Daily Practice Sessions for AP US Government and Politics. My name is Ashley Bassick, and I teach at Boonesboro High School in rural Western Maryland. We'll be reviewing some course concepts and strategies for the MCQ and FRQ portions of the AP exam. This first session will focus on MCQ, and the remaining sessions will focus on the 4 types of FRQs. Let's get started. So before we begin some practice, let's remember some of our key tips to tackling the MCQs. First, you'll have 80 minutes to complete 55 multiple choice questions. The breakdown of the MCQ content by unit is shown on your screen. So when you're looking back at what units you should focus on, you should certainly focus on units 1, 2, and 5, which have the largest percentage of MCQ content. Also, remember to pace yourself. Answer all the questions the first time you go through, marking those you want to come back to. Questions are not progressively difficult, and you are allowed to annotate in the test booklet. But remember, only those on your Scantron will be scored, so bubble as you answer questions. Today's review will focus on the various question types you'll see on the exam, including passages, charts and graphs, political cartoons, and traditional style MCQs. So let's practice some questions. Number 1. Which of the following best captures the author's argument regarding the forms of democracy? Choice A, pluralist democracy, which seeks to shield elites from popular opinion, functions best when individuals do not participate in the process. Choice B, participatory democracy, which emphasizes limited participation, marginalizes those who do not have the economic means to participate. Choice C, pluralist democracy, though it involves groups at different stages of the process of developing policy, excludes a significant portion of the population. Or choice D, participatory democracy, which emphasizes extended participation, creates too much conflict within the system. Before choosing an answer, recall that we're being asked to pick which of these best captures the author's argument regarding the forms of democracy. Recall, when we're discussing forms of democracy, we're thinking about pluralist, elitist, and participatory democracy. Before you read the passage and answer choices, keep in mind these 3 key highlighted passages, which focus on the fact that the passage is referring to a pluralist theory of democracy, and also that it appears the author is not feeling that positive about this theory of democracy. Please pause the video now and choose an answer. Choice A is incorrect because pluralist democracy is about groups and their interactions with governments rather than individual citizens. Choice B is also incorrect because according to the passage, we're talking about groups, which indicates pluralist theory, and not participatory democracy, which references the role of individuals. Choice D is also incorrect because, again, it's referencing participatory democracy, which is not a feature of the system described in the passage. That leaves us with choice C as the correct answer. It correctly references group theory, aka pluralist democracy, and specifically references the exclusion of a portion of the population, which aligns to the sentiment in the passage that the system is unbalanced in favor of a minority. Question number 2 is an example of where you'll see a political cartoon and a corresponding question. Question number 2. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the political cartoon? Choice A. Members of Congress are richer than the people they represent. Choice B. Members of Congress represent a wide diversity of political and economic interests. Choice C. Members of Congress receive political contributions from many special interests. Or choice D. Members of Congress are specialists in economic policy issues. Remember, we're looking for the best interpretation on the basis of a political cartoon. Whenever you see a political cartoon, you want to be sure to look at not just the image, but the words in the cartoon. So first we'll notice the title, U.S. Senators Arrive at Work. That lets us know who these men are and what they're doing. The subline is sporting snazzy new jumpsuits. suggesting that their new outfits are maybe expensive or very in line with the latest fashion trend. You'll also notice on their jumpsuits lots of words, including on their briefcase, things like BP, Chevron, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, all representing specific corporations, businesses, and financial institutions. Now that we've reviewed the cartoon and you know you're looking for the best interpretation, please pause the video and choose an answer choice. Choice A is incorrect, because while it may be true that members of Congress are wealthier than the people they represent, it is not the intent of the message of the cartoon. Choice B is also incorrect, because it suggests that members of Congress represent a diversity of interests. Looking at the jumpsuits, the interests represented by the cartoon are all economic in nature, and thus not representing diversity. Choice B is also incorrect, because while their jumpsuits represent economic interests, there is no indication by the cartoon that these individuals are experts in these areas. That leaves us with choice C. Of the answer choices, this is the only choice that is accurate based solely on the cartoon presented. It shows the jumpsuits covered in special interests and uses the words like snazzy suits to suggest that they receive money and spend it from lots of different interests. Question number 3 is an example of an MCQ where you'll need to interpret data in the form of a chart or a graph. Number 3, which of the following is most likely an effect of the data reported in the chart? Choice A, younger voters are more likely to vote in the 2016 presidential election. Choice B, the California state government is more likely to address issues that affect older voters. Choice C, political parties will work to recruit more younger candidates to run for office. Or choice D, the media will likely be skeptical of the general election results. Remember, the question is asking us which is most likely an effect of the data reported in the chart. The chart you see in front of you is a bar graph. The title is Voter Turnout by Age in the 2014 California general election. Across the x-axis, we see age groups ranging from 18 to 24 to 75 plus, and along the y-axis, we see the percentage of those age groups that voted. Pause the video now and select an answer choice. All right, choice A is incorrect, because when looking at the chart, younger voters voted the least, not the most, and this chart also focuses on the 2014 general election in California, not the 2016 presidential election. Choice C is also incorrect. This chart gives no information about political parties or their recruitment methods, and the information clearly is about voter turnout and not about people running for office. Choice D is also incorrect. The chart has nothing to do with the role of the media or what their perceptions of the data might be. This leaves us with choice B as the only correct answer. The chart clearly shows that older voters are more likely to vote, so that means that the California government officials should address issues that concern this age group to continue to encourage their high voter turnout.
Seriously?
You're right. She's having a bad day.
I don't need to have a whole school. Why not?
Question number 4 is an example of a traditional MCQ question. Which of the following scenarios depicts the concept of an iron triangle? Choice A, a well-funded PAC and professional campaign consultants meet with congressional Democrats to discuss strategy and campaign spending for the upcoming election. Choice B, lobbyists from the energy industry provide information to the Department of Energy before the department head testifies before the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House of Representatives. Choice C, a group of citizens mobilized to conduct a letter-writing campaign, voter registration drive, and public rally in an attempt to influence the policy decisions of lawmakers. Or choice D, a former member of Congress decides not to run for re-election and instead accepts a job as a corporate lobbyist. Remember, we're looking at these scenarios for the one that best depicts an iron triangle. Recall that an iron triangle composes interest groups, congressional committees, and bureaucratic agencies that are working together in a mutually beneficial relationship to achieve policy goals. Please pause the video now and choose an answer. Choice A is incorrect because it does not include all the players of an iron triangle. There's no interest group and no bureaucratic agency. Choice C is also incorrect because this is an example of grassroots lobbying where citizens individually mobilize to influence policy. Choice D is also incorrect because it doesn't involve policymaking or the influence of interest groups at all. This leaves us with choice B as the only accurate answer. It involves all the players of an iron triangle, the lobbyist, the bureaucratic agency, and the congressional committee. It also relates to how these groups are working together in a mutual policy goal in holding hearings to gather information. Question number 5 is another traditional style MCQ question. Which of the following arguments best supports a claim that the Electoral College does not fully support democratic principles? Choice A, the winner-take-all system encourages candidates to campaign in every state, which limits the attention each state will receive from the candidates. At times, a candidate who receives the most popular votes may not win the presidential election. Choice C, electors are chosen by the voters in each state, which gives parties undue influence over the candidate's success. And finally, choice D, the Electoral College lacks transparency because electors frequently switch their vote during the national election. We're looking at these arguments and choosing the best one that supports a claim that the Electoral Electoral College does not fully support democratic principles. As a reminder, the Electoral College is part of Article 2 of the Constitution and was put into place as a check on the vote of the ordinary people. All states except Maine and Nebraska award all of their electoral votes to the candidate that gets the majority of the popular vote, or winner take all. There are 538 votes, and candidates need 270 to win the presidency. In terms of democratic principles, we want to think about things like popular sovereignty, which is rule by the people, rule of law, which means no one is above the law, and limited government. Please pause the video now and select an answer. Choice A is incorrect because the winner-take-all system actually encourages candidates to ignore states where they're likely to win and focus on states where the races are closer. Choice C is also incorrect because the choosing of electors does not give parties more influence, and since the Progressive era, the influence of parties has declined over time. Choice D is also incorrect because while the Electoral College may not be entirely transparent, they do not frequently change their vote, and many states even have laws against this. This leaves us with choice B as the best correct answer, because sometimes the candidates who win the popular vote may not win because they lose in the Electoral College. This has happened 5 times in history. When the person who receives the majority of the popular vote does not get elected as a result of the Electoral College, it can be argued that the democratic principles are not being supported because the will of the people was not heard. And finally, question number 6 is our final traditional style MCQ question. The 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause declares that, quote, no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law, end quote. In which of the following scenarios is this clause most likely to be used by the Supreme Court in its decision? Choice A, a state law levies a tax on a bank established by the federal government. Choice B, Congress uses the Commerce Clause to establish a gun-free school zone. Choice C, a media company is prevented from publishing a classified document. Or choice D, a local school district mandates racially segregated schools. Recall that in this question, we're looking at the Equal Protection Clause, which provides fair and equal treatment to everyone under the law. And we're looking at how the Equal Protection Clause might be used by the Supreme Court. Please pause your video now and select an answer. Choice A is incorrect because the tax on a bank does not relate to providing fair or equal treatment under the law. Choice B is incorrect because Congress using the Commerce Clause to establish a gun-free school zone is related to their Article 1, Section 8 powers and not the Equal Protection Clause. Choice C is also incorrect because a media company being prevented from publishing a classified document is an example of prior restraint and calls into question First Amendment freedom of speech or press rights. Choice D is the correct answer because a school district that is requiring racially segregated schools would not be treating all people, in this case students, fairly and equally under the law. So the Supreme Court would use the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause to strike down and invalidate the school district's practice. Thank you for watching Session 1. I hope you'll join us for our remaining sessions, which will focus on the 4 types of FRQs. If you need additional MCQ practice, I encourage you to access the 2023 AP Daily Practice Sessions, Session 1, available in AP Classroom and on the course